Number 8, Miami beats South Florida 50-15. Mac, I loved so much of what I saw from Miami for so many different reasons. South Florida, you could see just the vibes in the game. South Florida, this was their Super Bowl, right? They were hanging around early. They were talking trash, all these things. It just felt like old Miami when that game was close at half would have kept it close in the second half, would have kept it uncomfortable, would have, I don't know, maybe lost the game. But Miami absolutely turned it on in the second half. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. It was just electric. Cam Ward, another 400-yard passing game. Jordan Lyle was great at the running back position. And they did this without Reuben Bain and without Jalen Rivers. I continue to believe a little more every single week with this Miami team.
Yeah, I think all great points. What you pointed out there, and the things you brought up. I think the most telling was exactly the first thing you said. It's 22-15 at halftime.
Yeah,
and you're just like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What are we gonna do here? Wake up, because there were some weird things that happened. I mean, I think of that interception, which was so like, was it even an interception? I almost feel like it should be a fumble. Because it was a dart. It was an absolute seed to George there. And he like catches it and then either goes to tuck or does something. The ball pops straight up. It was so like he caught it. And then the ball just is flying through the air somehow right to a USF player. And I'm just like, what happened? And of course they take advantage of that. 2 plays later, touchdown. And you're just like, okay, is this what this game's going to be? Like, is it just, everything right? Go for USF. And they had a couple of, other just really great plays. I think there was a special teams play in there. Just things they were making happen. And you're just kind of like, this is uncomfortable. This is weird. And then Cam Ward says, slow down, bulls down, 400 yards later, let's go home with a 50-point dub here. Really like what I saw in the second half. Again, this is 2 weeks in a row now that we've seen Miami come out in the second half of a game and flex their muscles, running it and passing it, and just overall decision-making. So I thought that they played really well overall. Thought they played even better in the second half. 4 sacks, as you mentioned, without Reuben Bain, against a very mobile quarterback who has been their leading rusher a multitude of times, was held to 27 yards rushing. I'm sure a lot of that had to do with the negative sacks yards as well. But was impressed with Miami, as I have been, offense and defensive lines, and a quarterback that distributes the ball really, really well. And it was fun to see, too, Sam Brown, a guy that we had heard so much about as maybe he's the best pro prospect on the team at the receiver position especially. And he gets involved, catches a sick route, 76 yards to the house. And then Isaiah Horton to step up and be the leading receiver, go over 100 yards, was just great. I mean, Cam's finding guys. He's going to get everybody involved. He had 2 hole shots, KG, and what that is basically – so you think about cover 2, there's a safety here, and there's a corner here, and there's this hole in the middle. And it's hard to get to, and it's a risky thing because either guy can pick it off, and he hits one to the left, and he hits one to the right later in the game. And I was just like, this dude should be playing on Sundays, and we're watching him here on Saturday. Like, that's how good he is. That's how good he is.
That's a great breakdown, Mac. And it's one of my favorite things about Cam Ward. And I felt this a little bit early when the game was a little close. I had the thought, and I had to say, no, Kelly, no. I had the thought of Cam Ward, like, is he too relaxed? Is he too loose? I had that thought because it seemed close, and he just seems so confident, even when he makes a mistake, like we talked about. It doesn't bother him. And at times, when the way he's scrambling or some of the risks he takes, like you just said, it makes me a little uncomfortable, but he's so good at it. Like, it's fine. It's totally fine. I don't know if any other Miami fans feel that way. He's so comfortable with taking risks.
Right.
And most of the time, I mean, look, at this point with his TDI ratio, like 95% of the time they work.
Crazy.
Yeah. But it's just almost weird to watch back. Like, it almost makes me uncomfortable, even though it works out. Does that make sense?
No, it is. It is. And that, like I just said, that ratio should be better. That pick, it shouldn't have been a pick. It should go down as a fumble. I hate that that's an interception because there's no possible way that that's on Cam Ward. But anyway, I know that he'll be the first to admit, I should have thrown it earlier or something, whatever he would say there. But I think to go to the, the decision-making stuff, and we said this in preseason before we even saw a snap, he is surrounded by Ferraris and Lamborghinis. He is surrounded by the best talent he's ever had around him. And he's been really good. He's had gaudy numbers, and now it's even better everywhere. And so I think for him, it's like, watch this. Watch what I'm going to do with this caliber of player. Xavier Restrepo, I mean, the ultimate security blanket. That dude's going to play for a long time on Sundays. The catches that he makes, the back shoulder balls, jumping through the air, diving for catches, and then just the surefire, get it to me and let me take off and get all these extra yards. Miami's in a really good place right now. I think, as we have said for quite some time, if you believe they can win the ACC championship, which I think everybody does now, you think they can play for a national championship. It's not about playoff. It's about the very tippy top, and I think that's exactly where Miami is right now. I think they're the only thing that can get in their way.
Totally agree. And I also like that they're not flying under the radar because everyone knows they're top 10, but because they haven't played a big opponent the last couple of weeks, they're kind of flying under the radar, and I like that for them, right? A little less just, people talking, but they do get Virginia Tech this Friday.
That all changes in 6 days.
Fun game. Even though Virginia Tech, we'll get
It's just standalone. It's a standalone, and everybody's going to be watching. Everybody gets to see Cam. I mean, they're going to blow up. They're going to blow up after that game if they take their business.
Game's at home. So we'll be talking about that game this week for sure.